As a 6-year-old, Nadia was given the responsibility of walking her brother back home from school, something her parents should have done. But nonetheless, like a good girl, she took on this responsibility. She had to support her family somehow, right? Which is why she never questioned why a man who was dressed in a black robe would give her money out of nowhere. She didn't question why he stopped beside them in his black car, why he suspiciously opened her palms and ran his fingers across the markings, why he gave her money and told her to buy some candy, all the while sporting a cracked smile. She, in fact, did question all of this, but the poor girl was too terrified, because, after all, she was only 6 years old. Her movements were slow, and because her movements were slow, it didn't take much effort for the man in the black robe to catch her and throw her in the van. As the car sped off, her little brother's voice calling her name was quickly fading in the background, and that unfortunately was the last time anyone saw the young, innocent child. It was as if she disappeared, until tragedy struck, and the worst thing that every parent is fearful of became very real. The poor innocent girl's body was found outside the city near the edge of the forest. The police called her mother, and her reaction was what every mother had. She broke down in pain, in agony, in horror, at the sight of her daughter's mutilated corpse. The police concluded that the girl was used in some ritualistic sacrifice by her kidnappers, but they couldn't find the people who did it. All traces of them just conveniently disappeared, as if they were never there. This is just one story of many that happens in Morocco, and it's because of sorcerers and treasure hunters, who, in their lust for treasure, perform abhorrent and evil rituals to innocent children to unravel these treasures held by the Jinn. This is about the Zouhri Children.
Before we get started, guys, it would be much appreciated if you could subscribe and turn on the notification bell for more videos like this. Thanks. Why did the man in the black robe pick up Nadia? It's because he suspected her to be a Zouhri. A Zouhri, especially one that is under 10 years old, is a special child that is wanted by sorcerers and treasure hunters alike. They want the child, or rather, to be specific, they want the child's blood. And there are two interconnected reasons as to why they want the child's blood. Let's begin by a small history lesson, followed by a legend. In the past, it is said that when people wanted to protect their treasure, they would hide it in inconspicuous places. Sometimes that would be the ground, wells, or other times it would be in caves. Of course, after hiding it for some time, they would come back to it and retrieve it. And that would be the end of that. But what if they couldn't come back to it? What if they forgot about it or were killed? What would happen then? Well, those treasures would now become the property of the Jinn. Actually, this is a well-known fact about the Jinn, that they occupy places and take objects which have been abandoned by people for a very long time. And once those Jinns occupy those places and the items within them, getting them to leave isn't just hard, it becomes impossible. Because if you try to get them to leave without the proper resources, you risk being cursed, or even worse, death. So, this is where a small legend pertaining the origins of the Zouhri children comes into play. Legends say that the original Zouhri descended from a Jinn who was swapped out by his Jinn parents for a human baby. Over time, it mingled with humans and created a progeny from them, as the Zouhri DNA contains traces of a Jinn in their genetics, which is impossible, by the way. Its blood is special because it's Jinn blood, and a Jinn will recognize that kind of blood. But it's not only that. Some legends say that the blood of a Zouhri child will act as homing missile. It will guide the child to a Jinn. Whether that is a Jinn holding treasure or not isn't certain, but it will guide the child. You know what story this reminds me of. Aladdin and the lamp. Except people do it in real life, and the consequences of this are very gut-wrenching. Okay, so we know where Zouhri came from, according to legend and stories. Yet, what does it actually mean? The word Zouhri means fortunate in Moroccan. It basically means someone who has been blessed by God, and as a result of this blessing, all walks of life have been made easy to him. Someone who is extremely lucky. Some say the word Zouhri is derived from the classical Arabic word of Zahr, which means dice, and is implied that the person who is called Zahr is said to be very lucky. Another more interesting origin of the word derives from the word Zohar, and this is kind of scary, because Zohar is one of the books relating to the Kabbalah. If you didn't know, the Kabbalah is a traditional way of Jewish mysticism, esotericism, and understanding the essence of God. Some unorthodox people might consider this as Jewish magic. So it could be that the word Zouhri has come from the word Zohar. Nevertheless, the meaning of the word stays the same, lucky. But this blessing has turned into a curse for many children, because this blessing allows sorcerers to look for the features when identifying these children. There is a cut on his tongue in the shape of a clear line running down the middle. One of his eyes has a slight squint, has a special luster that can be seen at first sight. His blood color is lighter than normal. And finally, he has 2 hair whorls on top of the head. There are other signs that a sorcerer looks for. However, these are the more common. What makes a child more desirable to these people is if the child has lots of the features mentioned. If he or she does, then it means that their blood is stronger, hence, stronger the effect. People often argue whether the origins of the Zouhri is true or not. Not many people believe it is biologically possible for a Jinn to mate with a human and produce a hybrid offspring. And they're not wrong. But it doesn't matter whether this myth or legend is true or not. What does matter is that these beasts believe it. They believe it so much that they chase after it like hyenas and abduct innocent kids and murder them to fulfill their greed. Hakima El-Tafai, age 39, lives in a village near Fes, Morocco. She recalls an incident that happened with her nephew a few years ago when the boy was 11. She said that once, when he was outside, some strangers chased him and were trying to force him inside a car. Luckily for him, his father saved him by coming to his rescue and chased off the kidnappers. Through some investigation done by the family and local enforcement, they found out that the kidnappers were trying to kidnap him because he was Zouhri. It was said that he had a solid line cut straight across the palm, and his tongue was divided, as if cut in 2 parts. Ever since then, Muhammad's family refused to let him play outside, and his grandfather would pick him up and drop him off to school. This happened until Muhammad was 20, when he was married off. At that point, the family relaxed, saying that he was old enough to protect him, implying that he might still be in danger. But Muhammad wasn't the only one who was protected throughout his childhood because of this curse. His childhood friend Zouhri also had a line cut across the palm. Even his mother rarely let him play outside or interact with friends, as these men would always be about lurking in the shadows, waiting to snatch the kids and use them for God knows what. But It's not just Nadia, Mohammed, or Zuhair that are cursed with this belief. Many other children are cursed with this supposed gift. Many of their parents are scared for their children. They hide from people, from society, and are forced to grow up in secret, which destroys their childhood. It is said that every year many children are found in numerous places with signs of torture and their blood drained. It is truly horrific what is happening to these kids in Morocco. One can only imagine what happens to the parents of these children who go through this. But hopefully, one can only wish that the authorities will take a more strict action against these fanatics. That's it for the end of this video. Please subscribe and turn on your notification bell for more videos like this. Take care.